Hey everybody, welcome to Parental with a Purpose. I am your host, Donna Janelle.
And I'm your co-host, Pamela.
And we are here live in full effect with Parental with the Purpose podcast. We have not been on here for a minute, for a couple of weeks, so we're excited to be back here with you guys, bringing back the responsibility, nobility, and beauty back into parenting. As you know, parents are the bows and our children are arrows, and they will land wherever wherever we aim them, pretty much, as long as we give them the tools to succeed. And that means, you know what that means, parent? That means taking care of ourselves, because you can't give what you don't have. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. A lot of exciting things been going on with the Parent to the Purpose, but today we want to talk about the mandate on effective parenting. We're going to talk about being intentional in parenting. What is our purpose, and what does that actually look like? Because there's a lot of words that we can say. It's a lot of things that, quotes that we can use. There's a lot of talk that we could talk. But a parenting with a purpose, we put in the work around here. So what does that actually look like in your life? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Just, the world is crazy right now. There's a lot of uncertainties. There's a lot of concerns. There's a lot of fears. There's a lot of, everybody wants to right now get up and leave the country. There's just so many things, and our children are feeling the effect of that. There's a lot of programs being cut for our kids. There's a lot of things that what I feel like we was kind of dependent on the government to do is now being snatched from from under our feet. And I think that's not a bad thing, though. I think that it causes us as parents to really stand up, 10 toes down, what we really need to do for our kids in the world, and not allowing other people to kind of dictate of how we're going to do A, B, and C. So I think it's an uncomfortable place to be in where we are right now. But I also think that it's, being uncomfortable is not always bad. And I know there are some people going to disagree with me because they hate everything that's going on, but I'm thinking it's an opportunity for us to really hone in on our parenting. What you think about that, Pam?
I agree. There's already been many conversations and different viewpoints, agree to disagree, and I feel as though how you made, my personal opinion, how you look at what's, being taken away, what may be supplied over here is how you're already showing up. And what I mean by that is, if you are a parent that relies on a lot of others to assist you with your parenting, don't get me wrong, it's not a problem having a village. I'm all for it. But if you rely 100% on others more than you do yourself, then you're the ones who are looking at it in a more negative way. And just a little bit more on that, instead of saying, you know what, this is going to challenge me to show up in a different way. You looking up like, now this not allowing me to do this. I can't do this anymore. I'm not. So is it really that you can't do something anymore? Or is it your child doesn't have that outlet anymore? And if you feel as though your child can't have that outlet anymore, what are you willing to do? How are you willing to connect with your village, your community, even maybe peers at your job, to make this turn it for the better, for not just you but for others around you, because you may not be the only one feeling that way. To me, it is a way for all of us to come together and invest more time in those boys and girls clubs that are already made available to us, bring back those old programs that we had, and we can help fund them ourselves. It's people out here that's willing to help fund those different things. They have hundreds and millions of dollars that they have to put somewhere, because they still want some tax breaks.
I like what you said, Pam, because you were saying that instead of having such a negative connotation behind what was and what can't be anymore, literally make it be what you need it to be. Like, so many times, we project stuff or point the finger at other people for things that we're really responsible for, especially in this parenting thing. It's just so interesting to me how people rely so much on like the government to really govern their children. And it's like, well, no, because the government didn't have our children. And don't get me wrong, we need we need assistance. Like, we're all together. We're community, we're city, we're state, we're world, right? So technically we all should be helping one another out, right? At some point, right? But to rely solely on another system to govern you, it doesn't allow you to take responsibility. I think about like often like when I talk to different parents and being an advocate for the kids in foster care, like a lot of times parents get so fed up with their children that they give them to the state, right? They're like, you take care of them. And then honestly, the state can't really take care of either. Like, it's like, I've seen so many situations where kids were, handed over to the state because their child was out of control and the parents didn't know what to do. And and that's what, part of this parent with a purpose thing is like giving parents the tools to parent successfully, because they're not like a gift that you could just give back. Like, I'm so confused. Like, I don't like this gift, or I can't handle this gift. Like, so you can take this gift and you do whatever you want to do with it. And it's like, no, how about let me empower you? Let me give you
Yeah.
the tools. And unfortunately, history shows government has not been giving people the tools. What they've been doing is let me take your child and let me put them in a system, and hopefully
Mm-hmm.
somebody in the system can raise them. But when we look at the stats and the outcome of these situations of kids who were in foster care or even perhaps adopted, they aren't the greatest stats, right? I'm an advocate of kids really belong with their parents if their parents can do the job. And
Yeah,
if they can't, let's teach them how to do it.
absolutely.
You ever hear, like, I don't know if you experience this, Pam, one of the things that a lot of times with mentors or even those who like talk to like young adults, like young teenagers or whatever, a lot of times they try to take the place of the parent
Mm-hmm.
instead of like,
And it's a lot of backlash.
yeah, instead of like working with the parent to try to help. I don't want nobody kids. Like, I don't want no extra kids. Like, it's called like just being a village in the community versus
Yeah.
let me take this burden off for you because I can do it better. Like, I think that
Yeah.
it'd be crazy. Like, I've seen it a lot where mentors become, or somebody who was like maybe coaching a family take their child on, and now they become your child, they living in your house, and now you're trying to deal with it, and you're dealing with the same situations that the parents dealt with.
Yes, that when as soon as you had said that, I'm like, yeah, like I've actually witnessed it, firsthand. And it's like now you're like building trauma in that child and you don't even realize it because your original intent was let me just help. But you moved so fast that you didn't get to properly assess the situation because that child still has that same issue. So no matter where you move them, until you deal with the root cause of what they are experiencing, no matter where you place them, it's going to continue to happen. Now it's going to continue at a whole different rate because I entrusted you to move me out of the situation, but you're doing the same thing now. So what is happening here? That's what the child is experiencing until you really sit down, speak with the child, assess the situation, assess what the parent is experiencing as well. Because a lot of times we think it's just the parent or the child, but no, both parties may be playing a part in what's taking place in all reality.
Absolutely. One of the things that I do
Now you're
when
the bad superhero.
like exactly. Like, one of the things that I tell parents constantly as I'm coaching parents, like I don't, and I don't just coach children, right? If I'm dealing with a family now, I may just coach the parent, right? But if you're requesting my services to coach your child, the parent has to be coached as well. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just out here coaching kids. I have a whole thing about repairing children and sending them back in broken homes. Like, it has to be a holistic approach, and that's one of the things I'm
Yeah.
not changing is that, I'll coach a parent to teach them how to parent, was correctly, but I'm more holistic. So my go-to is I need the whole family involved. Like, I
Yeah.
can't be like, because then you hear one thing from a kid and another thing from a parent, and if we work together in order to make this household successful, I got to have both perspectives and then how to bring those together so they can see each other perspective. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I had a mom who said, "Listen, I just want you to coach my kids." No, 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 ma'am, because you're going to be involved in this.
Right.
It's just that we're not doing it. I'm not jumping in like you said, being a superhero trying.
Yeah.
We're not doing
What
that.
was the like the scare straight programs and the stuff
Oh
like that?
yeah,
And you send your kid off and it's like the child gets all this redirecting and correcting, but then they're going back to the same thing.
right.
And some shows would do like the what is it, like an update, or what do you call it when they'll have them like come back on like 3 months, 6 months,
Yeah, like a
whatever.
reunion or something. Yeah.
Yes, and then they're like, well, how is it making out? And it's like, well, I'm standing on what you guys taught me, but what about them? And then the parents looking like they're still disrespectful. It's like, let's take some accountability here.
Exactly. And that's one thing. That's what I love about parenting with a purpose, like bringing responsibility, nobility, and beauty back into parent. Like we really like. There's such a mandate on parenting right now, and I
Yeah,
feel like the way that the world is going, and in order for a change to happen, it has to start at home because we
yeah,
can't expect to send our kids out in this world and expect the world to dress them, the world to tell them A, B, and C. We've already seen what has happened with that, right? So
hmm
it gotta come from the household because parents are the first teachers, the first lovers, the first, cheerleaders. Like we've have our kids. Listen, we got our kids from not even birth, like from conception, right? So
yeah,
as even while they're in their wombs, we talked about on the show before, talking to our babies in the wombs, and then when they come out, like really putting that stuff into practice, because the goal is to raise our kids to be independent, right?
hmm
The thinkers, and be able to have the growth, the character, but they only get that from us.
right,
They only get that by the time we send them out there in the world. They should already have some foundational things straight, okay? So
yeah,
that they don't have to worry about somebody else creating a foundation for them. It is like not starting from scratch.
yeah,
Like sometimes parents who don't show up in their life, the kid's life in different areas, it's literally like you're sending your kid outside naked and they're starting from scratch. And
yeah,
it's what are they going to put on? Everything that attaches themselves to them, right?
hmm
So it's such a mandate on parenting. And I think, the power of intentionality is so important because I think for so long, for so many people, we've really been living like an autopilot life. Like literally been in survival mode, not thriving mode. Like, I just got to get to the next, like that autopilot thing. Like, all right, food, clothing, shelters. All right, how to make this happen? How to make that happen? And literally almost fighting yourself out of wet paper bag consistently in this parenting thing,
yeah,
and not really being intentional per se, like a pre-thought about it. It is literally, this is what happens, now this is what's going to happen. We're more
hmm
active versus prepared.
It's almost like you know how you set a budget financially. It's like you almost need to set a budget for your time. Just like getting up in the morning. Some people say it's like everything is repetitive, and by the time I blink, I'm getting back up to go to work, or I'm getting back
Mhm.
up to get the kids ready and so forth. So it's like you almost need to set a budget. Like literally dedicating time frames and days to certain things, because let's be realistic, to health is wealth, and to properly take care of yourself, and then now these children that you have, setting that foundation, because you're teaching them this as well,
Right,
little
right,
do you know it or not. You got to set out that time knowing that everything, you can't do it every day, and
right.
that's okay. So we got 7 days in a week. So what is something that you need to dedicate more time to? Let's say we'll make 40 hours for it, and we're going to divide it up just like you do your job.
I
You
think
work
that is so.
8 hour shifts, so we're going to put 4 hours, a week towards this. We're going to
Mhm.
put 6 hours for this towards that, and just go through and just name that thing so that you can be organized, so you can set that foundation for your child. Because little do you know, like I was saying before, you're setting them up for chaos. So in the
Exactly.
mornings, when they have that response to you, it's like, well, how are you showing them what to do throughout the day? Like, you gotta set that structure up. And I always commend like my sisters and even my sister-in-law, because their children have bedtimes, and I'm like, my child has never had a bedtime till this day. Like, we tried it, but just with our work schedule, it never has worked. However, because how we respond at night and in the morning, that's how my child responds.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah,
know we're gonna have those days where it's like, oh, I'm not ready for this, but I'm ready for it because I know how we responded at night.
right.
You
And
know?
you said something very important, Pam, and this is one of the things that we try to like this is one of the things that, listen, that's parenting. Listen, that's your hubby. Like y'all parenting, that's what we out here doing. But I think it's so. You said something really, really, really good about as we prepare. I'm a huge advocate about calendars, schedules, because and people laugh at me. And for years, it has worked because being a single, I was a single mom of 4 kids, so everything had to be literally scheduled out. One to help me get myself together, so I'm not overwhelmed and creating chaos in my household. Not presenting
Yeah.
any extra anxieties on people, on the kids, because like whatever even though we may not say it, our children feel it, right? They feel it because our tone changed, our body language changed. Like there's so many. So I've always been an advocate of write a calendar, even to this day, even though my kids are they about to be 26, 19, and 2 17-year-olds. I still have a calendar. Everything is in my calendar. And it's funny, my dad said to me the other day, right? Actually, matter of fact, yesterday, I'm taking my parents, I was taking them on an errand tomorrow, right? One errand. But then my mom called me yesterday. It was like they need to add something else to this errand to make it 2 stops or whatever. And I said, okay, all right, let me check my calendar and see what time I could work that out. And then they was like, well, we could do it tomorrow, which means Wednesday, but we already scheduled for Thursday. And Pam, you know how I am with my schedule. Listen,
Right. So they wanted to do like break it into 2 days.
no, they wanted to add on another errand, but change the day to the day we. So I said, so
Oh,
let me make sure I'm clear on that. I need some clarity of this situation. You want to add on an extra errand, and you want me to do it a day early? Yeah, yeah. I said, with all due respect, that doesn't work for my schedule. So then I said, and then my dad said he in the background talking, and he says, wait till your son gets old enough and you ask him to do something, and he gonna say, let me check my calendar. And I said, I will be very a proud mom if he does that, because that means that he's done everything that I taught him how to do of really scheduling and making sure that things are done in decent and in order. Sometimes people think that schedules are disrespectful because people don't want to be put in a schedule. But you want
right.
somebody to do, like, a schedule is necessary. So my dad, when he said that, and he thought I was gonna get mad, I did. And I said, no, I hope he does say to me, hold on, mom, let me check my schedule. Let me get you in, because that means that he's learned a whole lot from me. I mean, urgent situations, like, I ain't gonna say I could drop and do what I need to do, but like when certain things, like, we got to run errands and things like that, we need to really write that in the schedule. One, because we
Yeah.
have kids, like I have kids, right? I have kids that are still in school, and just got to make sure that things are in order. But schedules are so important, and to the fact that I think I mentioned it on the show before, my kids struggle in their adulthood right now because they're so used to schedules. Like when my oldest first went to college, she was on like the government and stuff like that in college, and she had went to a college that was only 2% black, and she was one of the black. It's an all girls private university, and they had meetings like 10 o'clock at night. She was like, "Mom, I can't stand up. Like, I don't know what they want me to do. Like, I know I'm part of the student government, but I'm ready to go to sleep. Like, I don't know what they want me to do. Do adults be staying up this late?" She was like, "Mom, you wasn't staying up that late. Like, I don't know. I'm confused in this world right now, because why would they expect me to stay up this late?"
Right.
But because she's so used to being structured, where even though she had a busy life in school, everything was still done to the fact. I mean, I was still able to eat dinner with my kids every night and put them to bed on time. And another thing, one of the things that helped the structure with the kids and the calendar is they had no social media, they had no TV, they had none of that stuff during the school week. Like, they weren't allowed to watch TV during the school week. Like, we did things together. Yeah, I know. People used to be like, how your kids go to bed at 7:30 and they don't have no. But we used to and I used to incorporate a lot of their education and our family. Like, they used to do plays at nighttime with me. They used to do different things so that anything we can make our own entertainment. Like, the TV is with the TV, because you really can't filter it to a certain point. But even to this
Right.
day, they don't watch TV like a lot of other people. It's because they're either reading or writing or something like that. But calendars are important because now that Lizzie is in the Marines, she says to me all the time, she was like, "You were so right. I understand." And I think that's like one of my proudest moments when she tells me, "I see why you did this," or "I see why we were raised this way. I see it because now, she's about to leave on Friday to move to California, and she's able to like, she's like, "I see why it was so important to have a structure and order so that you can move things effectively." And it just made, she was like, "Everything you said was right." And I was like, "Not everything, I'm gonna tell you that now." But the fact that she recognized that the way that I raised her is set her up to be a young adult. And that's our goal, right? Our goal is to make sure that we raise our kids to be independent, because we don't want our kids to depend solely on us, because one, we're human, right? And we make flaws. And two, they need to be able to think for themselves because they're a whole different person, right? You
I'm
still on
with
mute.
you.
Oh, okay. So, given this day and age, when we talk about being intentional in parenting, we really want to talk about like, what does effective parenting look like, right? What does it actually look like? Because everybody says there is no book on parenting, no, but there's no manual on parenting, right? Not like, it's not like you get a car and it tells you everything you need to do, A,
Right.
B, even though, we do get different things. Like, I know working in the medical field in pediatrics, like, there's a guideline of kind of, at this age this is what you do, at that age this is what you do, but that's just like kind of like a little outline, but that's not really, you have to put your own child and your own self in that. But what did
Right.
it look like, and like, what are our responsibilities in it? Go ahead.
You could go.
I have a quote here that, and I think it's really, so I think it's really cool. And it says, "Children don't just need love; they need guidance, structure, and intentional influence." How do you feel about that?
I like that overall, just being intentional. Like you said, it's really no playbook. Even if you just sit there, and a prime example, I got this friend. She'd be like, "Oh my gosh, when I have my baby, like I want you right there because I'm not gonna know what to do." And
Hmm.
I'm like, "Stop acting like you don't have like nieces and nephews and this that." And she was like, "You, if I'm being honest," she was like, "I really don't spend like a lot of time with them." And I was like, "Well, if you plan on being a parent, I think that is something you should do. Not saying you got to get all of them together, but just make a point to just get them here and there so you could see what some of it entails." I say, even though you can give them back, but just hang out with them for a day because they require everything from you. So even if you don't know how to do something, just being intentional, knowing that you want to show up a certain way. So with becoming a new parent, do you want to be feel like a full time parent? You want to feel like a part time parent? Like that's going to show your intent. Showing how you coming for your kid. Let's just be honest about it. If you want to be a full time parent, you're going to be that parent to say, "You know what? I don't want to just make sure that they have a roof over their head and food to eat. I want to make sure that they have a foundation, that they know they have family outside of me, that they know what community is, that they understand what a village is, understand what it is to show up and be the best that they could be." So I may not know how to change a pamper, but I believe that you got to get a new pamper and get some wipes and wipe them off. You get what I'm saying? I know
Right.
that if I'm changing my clothes every day, I should be changing their clothes every day. So if I take a bath, I know that they should take a bath. Now hold up, because they are baby, so I may not need to give them a full bath every day, but
Right.
I need to be wiping them. I brush my teeth, so I'm gonna brush their gums. You get what I'm saying? I'm gonna wipe their
Right.
gums. I'm gonna clean their tongue. I'm gonna make sure they have the best milk they can have. As far down to those, just to me, I would say simple but basic things, but to somebody else, it may be so much more. You get what I'm saying? So I'm not going to downplay what it may be in somebody else's life. But do you want to be a full time or part time parent? That's
Right.
going to dictate how you show up.
Mm-hmm. So basically, what you're saying is that you got to make a decision first,
There you
right?
go.
Just make a decision of how you want to show up. I know, like, for me, the reason why parenting is so dear to me because of how I was fumbled, right? And I'm like, I'm gonna show up different in my kid's life, like, and what does that look like? I've seen
Mm-hmm.
other of my friends and parents show up a certain way, and I seen how my parents show up, And I'm like, well, all right, their parents was a little off too. So like, how do I how do I want to show up when I have kids? And it starts with a decision. And then I think if we make the decision to show up fully, we're going to work towards that decision. Like, it is called progression, not perfection. Like earlier I said, right? I think so many times I've lived a life where I was trying to be a perfect parent, and I've learned so much from not doing that. So I tell people, don't try to be a perfect parent. Be perfect for that child, but not, it's really progression versus perfection.
Yeah.
But make a decision. Like, can we just make a decision first?
Yep. Like,
Like,
I know this is going to require a lot of me, but how do
yeah.
how do I want to show up?
Right. Because when you make that decision and you become locked into that decision, and then you're gonna figure it out. One of the things that I often say is that we're not responsible for how we were raised, but we're responsible how we raise ourselves and how we raise our children, right? So, you know, so many times people make so many excuses in parenting because of generational things, and it's like, nah, that's like you. I think when you a kid, you make excuses. When you become an adult like that. And I don't even know about a kid, because one of the things, walking around the house all the time with my kids, I always quote, excuses are monument built by to the nothingness. Those who use them seldom accomplish anything. What would you like to accomplish? And like, my kids know that, like, when they literally just walk around and say that, or if I started saying it, they literally finish the rest of the quote because they already know. Or they'll come to me and says, listen, I have something to say, but it's not an excuse. I want you to view this differently than you think this is an excuse.
Right.
So it's not even just like, as an adult, we don't make excuses, but even not allowing our children to make excuses, really hone in and sitting in of what we're actually dealing with and handle it effectively and efficiently, not, pushing it off or blaming or projecting and things like that. And I think that's part of what makes us effective in parenting too, is really how we help shaping our children's integrity and character. The guidance thing is so important.
Character, like you said, teaching them responsibility from the jump, to take ownership right then and there. What did you say? What do you plan to do today? What are your goals for today?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's the same thing we have to say to ourselves. What are our goals now that we know we have chose to keep this child? What are our goals?
Yeah, and making decisions and taking action, like, with purpose, not just doing so, again, that autopilot life. Like, it's a purpose behind everything we do. And that might sound like a little cliche, and that might sound like, why you got to find something to everything, but literally there's a purpose in everything. And I don't think God has given us children just for us to say, oh, we parents now, or I'm a mom, I'm a dad. Like, no, he has given us to be able to pour into them, to be able to, for them to grow and be productive in this world.
Yeah.
So it ain't just like, here's a gift and you put in a closet and you don't invest in that gift. You don't pour in that gift. You don't, it's not like a gift that's just going to grow by itself. And if it does grow by itself, it's going to grow with the things that are not good for them, because you're not intentionally guiding them.
Right.
In there.
I agree with that one. That was good. It'll
'Cause,
grow
like,
with the things that you didn't intend for it to grow with.
yeah, like, again, everything will start attaching itself to there. You be like, at one point, you like, I had a nice little thriving tree here. All of a sudden, why this tree got some thorns here? Why this got here? Why this thing growing some mold on it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why the leaves are withering now? Like, what is going on? Like, why the roots are being upplanted? It's because, what did you do to it?
Bear no fruit.
Bear no fruit. And one of the scriptures says, like, a tree that bears no fruit is might as well die. So basically, if we're not giving our children what they need, that is a tree that will die, because it won't be able to bear the proper fruit. And that's the same thing us with parenting, though. If we don't, invest in our own self, because you can't give what you don't have, right? But you don't have in parenting if you're not going to get it. You know what I mean? Like you gotta go get it at some point, especially if you want to make that decision to parent effectively. But just tapping into, like, not just, as we always talk about, not just food, clothes, and shelter. Like, that is like the the basic, like, but I think people forget the rest of the hierarchy of Maslow's law about what every human actually needs, right? So as we nurture our kids, we're talking about emotionally, socially, and intellectually, right?
Yep.
These are people. They're not robots.
Right.
I'm a human. I gave birth to a human.
Yes.
So I think really just honing in on being intentional, being purposeful, and what does that actually look like in the lives of our children, as we just talked about, like being present and figure out like where do we want to aim our kids. Like first is make a decision, right? I want a parent. I want to be the best parent I could possibly be, right? Or I don't. I mean, whatever the choice is yours, right? And then it goes into, okay, what actually do I need to do to ensure this happen, right?
Right.
Like where am I aiming them to? Where am I aiming them to in order to them to get to wherever they need to in their journey? What do I need to do for my regarding myself and then also my kid? Yeah, I think that is the biggest thing, because a lot of times again we go into this survival mode instead of like getting the tools for us to thrive. Like everything
Right.
don't have to be a panic. Everything don't
Mhm.
have to be a crisis.
Yeah,
Everything don't
like
have
back
to
to
be.
what we were saying, don't making that decision, but also not looking at everything in a negative perspective,
Yeah.
like changing your perspective on stuff. Because sometimes, like, I know a lot of people, first, especially like if you wasn't planning for it, but even then you're planning for it, you consider how much your life is going to change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So some people that wasn't planning for it, they're like, oh my gosh, like this is no longer mine. I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm not going to be able to
Mm-hmm.
do that. Versus like, I'm going to get to be able to teach somebody to be the best that they could be. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to teach somebody to have greatness, what it is to have greatness and to be
Mm-hmm.
greatness. Like it's one thing to have it, but it's one thing to be it as well. I
Right.
get to set a foundation, help set and create a foundation for someone else. Like, do you know how big that is? You get what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, that's a great accomplishment. Versus just looking at, oh my gosh, everything is spiraling downhill because I no longer can go on
Mm-hmm.
movie dates by myself. Yeah, you still can, because that goes back to making that schedule, making that time, reaching
Mm-hmm.
out to different villages, coming a part of different communities, such as Parenting with a Purpose, so you can get connected with a village, mommy villages, dad
Mm-hmm.
villages, auntie and uncle villages, because we support all of that, even the grandparents,
Yeah.
so being intentional about that. Don't just look at how everything is going to change for the bad, because it's not for the bad.
Right.
Some things you might need to separate from.
Yeah, I like that. I think that whole how we perceive things, and you said something earlier, and I think we've said this on our show plenty of times. Instead of kind of looking at parenting as I have to do this or I have to do that, it's like I get to do this. Like
Yeah,
if you say something I have to do versus I get to do, it kind of changed
the
the
whole
whole.
attitude.
Yeah, like it's no longer a negative connotation behind that. It's literally I get to do it, because when I say I get to do something, it brings an extra layer of joy. Now, mind you, there are situations I always gotta remind myself, Donna, you get to do this, because, like, I was talking to my half pint, the one that tests my inner gangster, y'all, and I was talking to her the other day, and I had to check myself because she had missed the school bus again, and it's like she knew I was home off of work. And I asked her, I said, well, the bus comes 3 minutes after 7. What time do you show up at the bus stop? She said 7 o'clock. Now I said, ma'am, what have I taught you? She said, yeah, we used to have to be there 10 minutes before the bus comes so that we don't miss it. I said, yeah, so why did you change the focus? I've taught you to be there 10 minutes before just in case. Right. So then I'm talking to her, and I was really at first upset because I couldn't believe, one, you messed up my schedule. Now I gotta take you all the way to school. Then I gotta come back. But then I thought about it. I was like, you know what? But this moment, what can I do about that? I can't change the fact
Mhm.
that I gotta take her to school. So I get to take her to school. I had to do a whole shift in a second, y'all. I get to take her to school, and I get to enjoy this 20-minute ride and
There
having a
you go.
conversation versus me snapping out and getting upset because you know better. Like they don't know that they know better. She knew better.
My
But
girl
and me
gleaning
that
that. She said, Mom is home.
Yeah, like
It's
you
cold outside.
and I was like, I had to literally, even for me, shift my perspective that fast in a second because I felt myself getting upset because one, you took out of my time, but two, you my kid though. Like I gotta still, even though
Mm-hmm.
my schedule, but okay, let's flip this into something positive. So I get to take you to school. We get to have an enjoyable ride for 20 minutes, or we can have a terrible ride. So I had to make the choice. It's like, okay, Donna, get out yourself, be a
Yep.
mom. You're right. And
And
so
then
many.
power. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, no, you good.
And like, what seed are you planting in her as well for the future parent and her, or mentor
Mhm.
and her, mom and her, that, oh, you know what, when my kid's supposed to be at that bus stop, they better be at that bus stop, or they're gonna have to figure it out. Or this is how you respond to them, if I do make a mistake, or what if that was, I didn't know how to communicate, Mom, I know you all for work. So my way of communicating was me missing the bus so I could ride with you, because I long for that. I see
Mhm.
kids that get dropped off every day and they may take it for granted, but I don't get to get dropped off every day. Like, I have to catch a bus because this is Mom's schedule. I
Mhm.
had someone say to me, a girlfriend of mine, she was like, how does Tori get to school? And I'm like, I take her. She's
Mhm.
like, what? Are you serious? I'm like, yeah. I was like, and I enjoyed that. She was like, I'm sitting over here like, let me live through you, because I gotta take, our children are the same age. She like, I gotta take her to the bus. I had to instill things in her so that not only that I know she gonna be okay, so she knows she gonna be okay. Okay, she's a kindergartner getting on the bus. She's like, that's a huge transition. She already is going to a big school. Now she has to get on this big bus where it's like, whoa, like, I went from riding in the car every day to now I gotta get on this bus and I don't know nobody.
Yeah, and that's scary and be able to recognize that. I think sometimes we as parents, we just go and throw our kids and then do that and the other. Again, that autopilot living, right? And not
Yup.
realizing like they are humans. They have emotions and something changed, right? There was a shift in something. So expect one because they're not emotionally mature yet, right? And they don't even know half the stuff they feel. And so again, that's where that guidance come from, like guiding them,
Yup.
to where it's going on. I think that is so important because we sometimes don't realize a whole life has shifted. And we may be have I was gonna say we may be able to deal with that shit, but half the time we can't. Like half the time we
About to
live
say, look how we deal with transition sometimes.
so why do we expect our
Why we
kids?
put so much on them?
Yo, it be I'll be thinking about that, Pam. I'll be like, yo, so you dealing with this, but you expect your kid not to, like, I'm a little confused about how you expect them to be better than you and you didn't give them the tools to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Matter
True,
of
I
fact,
know how my little person be when I be like, okay, today I gotta get back home to get to work, or I gotta get to work and do this. I gotta go on up. So you gotta walk down. I don't get to walk you today, to the building. She's like, man, like, and some man, I left this in the car. Oh, I need to use your chapstick. Oh, I just needed a drink of your water. I say, dang, I should have just walked you down. Because what is going on? I'm thinking I'm saving time, but now
you
I'm lost.
you actually had another 10 minutes. Like, yo,
So
sis,
I
I
said,
felt
wow.
like that this morning when that neighbor was going to school. Yeah, she can't, she go,
Oh
she
man.
can you take me to the bus stop? I said, no, no, I'm not doing that, right? And so then, like, I'm so crazy. She called me. She was like, I locked myself out and I left the glasses in the house. My glasses. I said, what? So I'm like, yo, you play too much. You play too much. Right. I come downstairs, like I was upstairs getting like I got out the shower. I was like clearly no clothes on, right? And I said, you play too much. So I go downstairs, still no clothes on, open the door. She gonna say, why would you open the door like that? So right.
I'm being
So
intentional about my appearances since you like to.
yo, I'm like, all right, so get your glasses. So then she
Oh
left out.
man.
She banged on the door again, and said, I forgot my jacket. Really? You trying to miss this bus, right? And I was like,
You
maybe if
know
I
what?
told her that I would take her, I probably wouldn't have all these things. So I'm like praying to God, God, please don't let this girl miss this bus today. I'm like praying, God, I'm not with it today. And like you said, sometimes I just take the extra time because they just really they want you to do something, but like you at the moment can't really do it. And
Yeah.
they start Actually, like, really though, you lock yourself out. But where's your key at? Oh, I left my key.
Walks right past it.
Exactly. So yeah, I think that is funny, but I think really just recognizing that kind of stuff with our kids, like they may be seeking a
Yeah.
little bit more attention, or not
Hmm.
so busy snapping on why would you do this or why would you do that? No, it's obviously they're needing something a little more than what we're offering at the moment.
Right. Because here we are, we're like, we gave you the tools. We know how we're equipping you. We know that foundation we setting you. And
Mhm.
maybe sometimes, just like sometimes we get overwhelmed, it could be overwhelmed for them. And as I was
Mhm.
saying before, they may not know how to say it because it's like, well, mom or dad is probably going to say, you know how to do this. Yeah, I know how to do it, but I just want you to do it with me this time.
Right, and they be saying that, yeah, I do. I just want you, but
Yeah.
and that's okay though. It's okay. It's just that sometimes that's when we gotta check our brain, check our mind, be like, hold up, all right, flag on a play. Let me reverse this
Yeah.
play. Reverse. If not,
Yo,
you're gonna have a penalty, and that penalty is you going still have to take them to school.
okay. Walk them down.
Walk them
Walk them down to the building.
down. Yeah. All right, so we're actually gonna be wrapping this up. I think this was a good conversation. It really was. Yo, this is a good conversation. Um, yo, your husband want to be part of this parenting conversation.
Yes, we got a few things going.
Next time, we're gonna have him on here during another time because I do want to hear his perspective in parenting too, from a dad perspective. We gotta get him on the show.
Yes, he's amazing.
Um, but yeah, so we want to thank you guys for tuning in to Parental with a Purpose. This is a different platform that we're on, trying something new. So bear with us for some of the changes that we're trying to make.
Yeah,
But the changes is to help grow Parental with a Purpose and help giving you guys the tools that's necessary and make sure that we're delivering great content and tools that you guys can actually use. So with that being said, Parenting the Purpose website is now available. If you go under donnajanelle.com, you will find every podcast for the last 2 seasons on there. You'll also find coaching, booking. You can find any booking for speaking, coaching, retreats, whatever you need. Workshops is right on there. Also, you kind of get a little bit of background of how Parenting with a Purpose started. And so we want you to go to you can go to parentingwithapurpose.com or you can go to donnajanelle.com to find that. We're also on TikTok. We're on We have our Facebook page. We have our YouTube channel. YouTube channel is Parenting with a Purpose. So anytime that you look for Parenting with a Purpose or Donna Janelle, you should be able to find both of those things. Also, what else is coming up new? We are looking for guests. We are looking for guests, and you don't have to be in the same city and state that we're in for now on.
yes,
You are out of the country, if you are out of state, if you are in a different city, it doesn't matter. You could be in a desert or you could be at the beach. Like it don't matter with the water or with the dry land. We want to hear from you. We want to hear from parents in every shape or form, grandparents, adoptive parents, step
yeah,
parents, co-parents, whatever, anything involved, all things parents, right? We want to hear from you. So reach out to us at donjanelle.com, send us a quick message, and we will get back to you, be able to book you for a show at your convenience, whatever works for you. We now have a platform where we can actually do a lot more, and we're excited about that.
yeah.
Also, be on the lookout for a book coming. A book is coming. It's called Bringing Back the Responsibility, Nobility, and Beauty Back in Some Parenting. There is a book coming, you guys. Before the end of the year, it will drop. So it's actually pretty much done. So I want you guys to be on the lookout. And that is literally just a guide and structure of how we can best help you in parenting, so that we can get this thing right, though. We all want to be parenting to the best of our ability. So again, check our YouTube channel out, Parenting with a Purpose. Check us out on Instagram at Donna Janelle. Check us out on Facebook at Parenting with a Purpose. Check us out on TikTok as Donna Janelle. And there's more coming. Pam, what do you have to say to close us out? Because I'm so excited about this new platform, Pam, that we can do so much.
Absolutely. I am too. No, just piggybacking off of what you said, be on the lookout, stay tuned for the new that is coming for Parenting with a purpose as it evolves. And we just thank you for your continuous support as we evolve, as we change up things, and just continuing to take this riding journey with us.
All right. So we will see you guys next week with another great topic from Parent to Purpose. Don't forget, you can email us topics too. If there's something you want to talk about, no topic is off limit. We are talking all things parent. So listen, whatever you got to say, we want to hear from you. So you guys enjoy the rest of your week, and we will see you next week again with Parent to the Purpose podcast. All right, we done.